All right, what's up, everyone? This is a new episode of Sports Harder coming at you live on this Wednesday night. And I am your host, Maddie Lukewarm Ice. And as always, my co host, Chris the Gorilla Binder, with his championship belt there. Yep, I'll take my Super Bowl champions shirt here. Booyah! That's good enough for me. I'll take that.
Yeah,
Take
but
that for
I
now.
won fantasy and pick 'em, so
I will lose fantasy and pick them every year to win a Super Bowl. Like if the Rams win a Super Bowl every year and I lose both of those, fine by me.
yeah, no.
I would take that in a heartbeat.
I'd be
So
happy to watch my team win, but I mean, at least I have something to show that I personally won something.
that is always good as well. It's good to have that. So alrighty, well, we want to start off the evening with some blockbuster trades that have been going on in the NFL. That is going to be our highlight. We're going to kind of keep it short. Not a lot going on in other sports just because of, the baseball lockout is still underway. Just to touch on that, to start with that, the Major League Baseball has now postponed opening day until April. I think it was like 18th or something like that. So Major League Baseball is still canceling a lot of the opening game series. Do you see an agreement or anything coming soon? A lot of the players have been interviewed and have been personally asked about it, and the players have said that they feel like the owners feel that the players are idiots during this negotiations. So the
Well,
players not feeling like the owners are treating them, I guess, with any respect when it comes to negotiations so far.
yeah, well, when the negotiations, the longest meeting they've had was 15 minutes, and the players get up and walk out, like, yeah, it's a problem. Definitely a problem. I don't see this getting fixed. I think this whole season's going to be kiboshed.
Whole season just nixed.
I think it's gonna come to that eventually, yeah. Which is gonna
Mm.
suck because the players don't get paid.
Well, I mean, owners aren't going to get paid either. They
Yeah,
don't have a season. They don't get paid. Like they don't make any revenue or money,
true.
and they had already lost out on a lot of money just with COVID.
And they're gonna lose a lot more this year because it can't come to an agreement. And the owners are stupid. Like they're treating the players like crap, and like the players are the ones that bring them the money. It's not the team that brings them the money, it's the players. Like if you have a big name player, people want to see that big name player. Like you have Bryce Harper here, but the Phillies suck. But fans still come to see Bryce Harper.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
that's where the Phillies get their money. Like the Dodgers, they're always going to have their money. The Yankees, they're always going to have their money just because they're big market teams. But you have the smaller market teams that people go because they root for their team and they root for players. Like your players are what bring in the revenue for your team.
Yeah,
So buckle down, get the agreement done, and take care of your players.
yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I don't see it being a total bust, like not having any games or having a season, just because I don't think the owners will want that to happen. They won't risk it. Like they'll give in some, maybe they won't give in to all of what the players want, but they'll give in to enough to at least have a season. And the players don't want to miss out on their money either, especially the no-name players who don't make as much as a Bryce Harper. They need that money. So, you know, the big name people can't be the ones that are like, yeah, we're willing to sit out the whole season when really not all the big name people are probably willing to do that.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Um, let's start off first with the
Before we
Calvin.
before we
Huh?
jump into football, I just
Yeah.
want to throw out there like I watched this interview today. I think it was from a couple of weeks ago, where Robert Ory was talking about the Lakers and how the Lakers were supposed to be this massive super team. I mean, they had Westbrook, they had James, they had uh, Anthony Davis.
Davis. Yeah.
You know, they're supposed to be this huge blockbuster team that guaranteed to win the title, blah, blah, blah. They're sitting in ninth place in the West. They have a losing record. They may not make the playoffs. Robert Ory actually in an interview said nobody fears the Lakers. Their biggest win this year was 10 points against the Houston Rockets when the Houston Rockets were the bottom team in the entire NBA. And speaking of the Houston Rockets, they just beat the Lakers tonight by 9 points. So I just want to throw out there that like everybody always talks about how great LeBron is and all this other stuff, but it's he's not proving that he's the greatest of all time right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think this in a way shows that super teams can't always work out. Like everyone was, dogging the Rams and getting on the Rams about making a super team and then winning a Super Bowl. Lakers are trying to do it, not working out for them. It doesn't always work out. So I don't think people should be dogging the Rams as much as they did for this season, because I think Sean McVay and the coaching staff found a way to make them play and gel well together. And the players bought into the mindset and the motto, the we, not me. And I don't think the Lakers have anything like that. And they don't have a coach that's like that. So because LeBron is technically the coach and like the owner, like LeBron controls everything, and even with the moves that he's making and trying to do, it's still not working. So I don't think, like you said, LeBron is the greatest of all time, like you're saying, when he's technically making these moves, even though they're saying he's not. Everybody knows he controls the team. So I mean, he's making these moves and it's still not working. I mean, Jordan made moves and won more titles. Like he brought in Dennis Rodman and was like, "Hey, bring Dennis Rodman in here. He's going to add to us." They brought him in, boom, won more titles. Like LeBron's like, "Oh, bring in Westbrook." bring and that's failing. Bring in Anthony Davis. Now, when they brought in Anthony Davis, they did win a title the first year they were all together, but that was with the COVID bubble and everything. So I think a lot of that played into it as well with them winning that year. So
Yeah.
I don't think these super teams always work out like everybody thinks they're supposed to.
And I'd like to see LeBron win a title without a super team like Jordan did. You know, everybody's like, well, Jordan had a super team. He had Pippen. Pippen was no name until the Bulls won a freaking title. Like people didn't know who the hell Pippen was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like he won a title with the starting five was Luke Longley, Tony Kukoc, John Paxson, Michael Jordan, and Scottie Pippen. The only two people that are big household names at this point are Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. Most people don't even know who the other three guys are.
Yeah.
And
No.
I watched this video on the Bulls. Like, it was different players like Bill Cartwright, Luke Longley, Steve Kerr, and a couple other guys that were like talking about Jordan, and they're like, everybody thought he was this big asshole. Yeah, he was an asshole to us. That's who he was. But it was to get us to play better as a team. It had nothing to do with like he wasn't being a dick just to be a dick. He was really trying to get us to play better, and it showed on the court. Like when we went out and played, we played a lot better because Jordan pushed us. LeBron doesn't
Yeah.
do that. LeBron's like, give me the ball.
That's true. Everyone had to play to Jordan's level, and Jordan made sure that people did that.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was like, you're gonna play at the same same intensity, same everything that I do, and if you didn't, he called you out on it.
Yeah, wasn't it Steve
So
Kerr that he punched in the face?
was it?
I think it was Steve Kerr. Like Steve Kerr, yeah, he said something to Jordan, and Jordan turned around and was like, "I'm going to beat your ass." And Steve Kerr didn't back down from him, so Jordan socked him in the face, like during a practice.
Gosh, yeah, and I mean, yeah, that was just his nature, and I don't think LeBron has that same nature, like you were saying. So, it's I don't know why it's always going to be a debate, but it always will, just because of how many times LeBron has been in the finals, but he hasn't won enough with the amount of times that he's been there, and everyone thinks he's the greatest of all time because he took three different teams to the finals. But it's just like, or won a title with three different teams. I don't think that says or shows a lot if you win with three different teams. I think that
But the
shows
only
that you're
time,
jumping around to try to win titles.
yeah, and the only time that he won was when it was a super team. That's it. Like he can't do it without a super team. He did take the Cavs. I think it was like his second or third year, took him to the finals and lost. But then he gets a super team in Miami. Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, they play well. Then he gets Ray Allen. They play well. They win. I think he won. He went 4 straight times with the Heat and won two
And one, two,
with
yeah.
with that super team. Dude, they lost to Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks. There was nobody else on that team. Nobody. It was Dirk Nowitzki.
Jason Kidd.
No, Jason Kidd wasn't on the team. Jason Kidd was on the Nets at the time.
Was he? I don't
Yeah,
know.
he was not on the Mavericks when they lost to the Heat. He may
When
have
they beat
actually
the
already
Heat.
reached.
When they beat
Yeah,
the
when
Heat.
they beat the Heat, that's what I mean. Um, and I'm gonna throw this out there because he's always overlooked, which I think is bullshit. I think Kobe Bryant is better than LeBron James. I think you put them in a one-on-one situation, Bryant tears LeBron James a new one. I think
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant should be in the talks for greatest of all time because yeah, he won 3 with Shaq, but they didn't have a super team. It was him and Shaq. Like they had some really good side players like Derek Fisher. They had Nick Van Exel one year. They had Robert Ory, Rick Fox. They had a good supporting cast, but they didn't have a super team. And then Shaq left. He gets Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol is nowhere near the level of Shaquille O'Neal. Like not even close. And he wins 2 more with Pau Gasol. Like no super team at all. And Kobe made people look stupid. Kobe scored 81 points in a single game. LeBron's never done that. Jordan's scored, I think he averaged 40 points in the playoffs for his entire career. I think he averaged 40 points. He has more 60-point games in the playoffs than any player in history. LeBron's never shot 60 points in a playoff game. Like, how is LeBron even in talks as the greatest of all time? He's not even close. I don't even think he belongs in the top 5 of all time. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think definitely MJ and Kobe kind of come to mind. And they were both kind of killer mindsets, like they went out there to annihilate you, and they had that killer instinct. And that again, just that tenacity to win. That's all they wanted to do. And both Kobe and MJ did it with the same team their whole career.
Yeah.
So I think that says a lot. I mean, kind of an old school mentality, I guess, for me, but I think it says a lot. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't probably. I'd maybe put him at number 5 if anything for LeBron. Like if he did, he probably would be 5 for me. But yeah, it would be hard to get him in top 5.
I would put him in top 5 small forwards of all time.
Yeah,
I
but yeah,
wouldn't put
but
him top
NBA
5
players
players
in
of all time.
general.
Yeah. I wouldn't put him in top 5. Like my top 5, honestly, most people think it's a bullshit pick, but I'd put MJ, Kobe, Wilt, Kareem, and Shaq. That's my top 5. Like you
Yeah.
put those 5 on a court, nobody's beating them. Like plain and simple, nobody is beating that 5.
Yeah.
You trade one of those out for LeBron, and he struggles with free throws. He struggles with shooting mid range. He struggles with shooting 3-pointers. Like the only reason he can drive to the basket, he's 6'9", 300 pounds. He's a big dude. Always has been. When you watch his high school highlights and they're like, oh, he was amazing in high school. He was guarded by people that were 6'1". He's got an 8-inch advantage over everybody that was guarding him. And there was multiple times his ass got crossed over hard. He's an offensive threat. That's it. He doesn't play defense. He's garbage on defense. I don't understand why everybody's got hard dicks for LeBron, dude. And I just wanted to throw it out there that nobody in this league right now is afraid of the Lakers. And
Yeah.
coming into the season, they should have been the scariest team in the league.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely agree with that. So it would be nuts if they don't make the playoffs. So we'll have to see.
I'm gonna laugh. I'm so gonna laugh, and I will post it all over Facebook.
Exactly. All right. First thing with NFL that we had posted. So Calvin Ridley for the Atlanta Falcons being suspended for all of this upcoming season or next season or however you want to phrase it, for gambling on games and betting on games, betting on his team, the Atlanta Falcons. Calvin Ridley, after being suspended, then comes out on Twitter and social media and says, the most I ever bet was $1,500, and so I don't have a gambling problem. Like this is ridiculous. And he said he was doing it when he wasn't on the team. So I don't know if he did it like when he was injured or something, or like what was going on. But I guess he had no control over the games because he wasn't playing on the field for the games that he bet on. So is it an overreaction by the NFL, or is it a perfect reaction of what to do because of him betting on his team?
Well, due to the Pete Rose rule in any major league sports, any pro sports, it's if you are under contract for a team, you are not allowed to gamble on that sport. Period. Like it doesn't matter if you're betting on another team or not. It's a written rule for the league, for every pro league right now. You cannot bet on that league if you are under contract for one of the teams. Whether he was injured or away from the team, he's still under contract. He broke the rules. He just gave up $11.5 million for this season to bet $1,500. Like he knows the rules. Every player knows the rules. You don't do it. Like it's dumb. I think as much as I hate to say it, $1,500, it doesn't matter to me. He should be banned for life, just like Pete Rose was. Should be.
So do you think a harsher punishment will come down eventually, or
Mm-hmm.
is it just the to start?
I think this was to start to continue the investigation. The fact that he's admitting to it at this point, I think they may actually just slap him on the wrist with the 1-year suspension. But my opinion is he should be gone. Should be done. I don't care how talented he is. I don't care how good he is at football. He broke the rules. He broke one of the biggest rules You don't gamble on the sport that you play in.
Yeah. I just don't know how dumb you can be to, like you said, just do $1,500 to risk that just for the amount of money he makes. It's no comparison. And if you want to gamble, go to Vegas and gamble on, I don't know, the slots or like poker. I don't know, just anything. Just don't gamble on the one thing that you're not supposed to gamble on. Like,
Right? You can gamble on baseball. You can gamble on basketball. You just can't gamble on the sport that you're in, that you're under contract. Like it's an
yeah.
actual written rule for every major league sport. Just don't do it. And yeah, he was set to make $11.5 million this year.
Yeah, so dumb. So I mean, I think it'll just be the 1 year. The NFL is usually the league that does the okay, we're gonna get you with whatever up front, but then they don't come back with anything else, and they always try to get players back. So
But then the big
look,
question is, who's going to pick him up after this? Because the Falcons are going to let him go.
yeah, I
Who's
could see that
honestly going to pick
happening.
that
But I
up?
mean, look at how many times the NFL has allowed
Antonio Brown.
Well, yeah, Antonio Brown is one of them. But I was thinking the one who always had the smoking pot. He was always getting caught with the pot smoking.
Oh, Josh, whatever the receiver that's on the Chiefs right now.
Yeah, like John Johnson or something like that, or
No, it was
uh,
Josh something.
Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon, yeah.
So yeah, Josh Gordon. I mean, look how many times the NFL has allowed him to come back. So I don't think this will be the end for Ridley. But yeah, we'll see what team like actually picks him up though after that. But so after that, we had posted that on the podcast. Then we had posted good old Aaron Rodgers, staying in Green Bay for one of the biggest contracts, a 4-year, $200 million deal. I think it was like 158 million of it is like guaranteed for him.
153.
153. So
Yeah.
and Devontae Adams getting franchise tagged. So the Packers still trying to go all in, but with them paying all this money for Aaron Rodgers to stay and to make him happy, a couple things come from this. I think one, what are they going to bring in? Because they've never brought anybody in or drafted anyone to help Aaron Rodgers other than Devontae Adams. So are they gonna finally give in to what he wants and actually try to bring people in to help or try to, I guess, make the defense better? What's the plan? Yeah, you kept him, but then now what? And I think he was so unhappy and he was causing so much drama this past season. The only reason I feel like he stayed was because he's getting this huge deal, or he just would have left. Like he's just staying for the money. I don't think he really has that much ties to Green Bay and wanting to stay. And I know your
Well,
other half
he
probably
actually
doesn't want to hear that, but
he actually did come out and say that the whole Denver thing was never in the picture. That it was either he was going to stay in Green Bay or he was going to retire. He was contemplating retiring, and then they came to him with this deal, and he couldn't turn it down. But I wouldn't turn down 153 million guaranteed. Like that's what I said flat out. Like somebody hands me 150 million dollars, like I'm retiring right there. Like he's obviously got to work for it, but if somebody came to me and handed me 150 million dollars, I'd go to my boss and be like, "Hey guys, 2 weeks notice, I'm retiring."
oh yeah, I definitely would as well. But so I mean, but with this though, like how after all the drama and everything that he caused, how do you keep him happy without causing more drama? Like obviously you paid him, but it doesn't mean that he's still not going to be all like nonchalant and like okay, whatever, RELAX, relax. Like they he still has this legacy of not being able to win the big one other than the one time he did it. Like so
I think
it's
I think the biggest problem that they're going to have right now is so they were 29 million over the cap. They got this deal done with Aaron Rodgers, and somehow with the restructure, it saved them $26 million. So they are still $3 million over the cap. If Devontae Adams plays on the franchise tag, he is owed $32 million. That now puts them $35 million over the cap. Who are they going to get? Who are they going to have to let go to cover that cap space? Like, they are extremely over the cap, and they have to be under the cap before the start of the preseason. They have to. That's kind of the rules. So who are they going to get rid of? Whose contracts are they going to restructure to keep? And how are they actually going to pick anybody up to help Aaron Rodgers with no money to dole out?
Yeah, that's what I'm
It's
saying.
not going to happen.
So it's just going to be the same middle of the road, winning the division for the next 4 years that he plays under the contract, but not getting any farther than that.
I don't even think they can win the division.
Who else would take it from him?
The Bears.
The Bears don't have anybody.
They're actually like playing in free agency and stuff, trying to get people. They're trying to re-sign Allen Robinson. They're trying to get some receivers to help out, another running back to help out. They're making a play for Christian McCaffrey, which I don't think he'll end up a Bear, but they're doing things to actually like try to compete with the Packers, where the Lions aren't and the Vikings really aren't. They're not doing much, So I think the Bears could actually like compete this year. I think Matt Nagy's gone, so they're really gonna push Justin Fields to be a better QB. They're gonna get rid of Nick Foles. I don't know, dude. I think they're the only team that could threaten the Packers, but with the Packers having to like drop people to get under the cap, I think that's really, really going to hurt them. Because they franchise tag Devontae Adams, but to stay under the cap, they may have to trade him. They may have to get him to another team to help save the cap space. Otherwise, they're losing Aaron Jones. They're going to lose the heart of their defense. They're going to lose David Bakhtiari, heart of their offensive line. They're going to lose a lot of people.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
They got to
true.
figure it out.
I think the Vikings more so than the Bears. I mean, the Vikings, if they move on from Kirk Cousins, could actually like push and do something. And they have the Rams offensive coordinator now as their new head coach, and he may be able to plan and scheme some things if they have someone other than Kirk Cousins. So I think the Vikings more so than the Bears could do something, but I still think it's the Packers division to lose. So I think they could still dominate as long as they have Aaron Rodgers. They have the best quarterback in that division. So
very true.
They're always going to have the best quarterback, and that is always an upper hand in any game. So speaking of Broncos, because I said with Aaron Rodgers not leaving and going to the Broncos like everyone thought he would because of the coach that they hired, I remember messaging you and I was like, well, the Broncos look dumb now. They just made a big flop, basically. They went out and got a coach specifically just to bring Aaron Rodgers in, and it didn't work. They weren't able to do it. And then shortly the next day, we get the notification that in a huge blockbuster trade, the Broncos trade everything and the kitchen sink to the Seahawks to get Russell Wilson. And so now Russell Wilson will be a Bronco. Now, they got rid of Noah Fant, which I think to the Seahawks in the trade, which I think he's a great player. So that I think that's one less person for Russell Wilson to throw to. They got rid of 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, a third-rounder.
No, two first, 2 second, and a fifth.
And fifth. And then and then Noah Fant, and then
Drew
it was like
Lock.
a defensive player, I think, too, that they got rid of.
Yeah, Shelby Harris.
Yeah.
He's their nose tackle. Dude was a beast. He was a leader on the defense, so it's gonna hurt him.
Yeah. So now Russell Wilson, we wanted to get Lamerica on here and get his take. We'll have to get it next time he's on. But you're in that division with your Raiders. So how do you feel? Who won the trade? And was it too much for just getting Russell Wilson?
Well, let's be fair. They got Russell Wilson and a 5th-round pick.
Sorry.
Not that 5th-round picks really do much. Like there are some in the league that actually stepped up, but not very many. It's few and far between. It's hard to say. They gave up a lot just to get Russell Wilson, just to get a quarterback. And I think Russell Wilson is a great quarterback, but he couldn't get it done with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And Greg Olsen, even like old Greg Olsen, of course, but still Greg Olsen. So he's going to get it done with Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy. Like he's going to get it done with those guys. I think DK Metcalf is a better receiver than all 3 of them. Like I could be wrong, and he could be the shining spirit that does change the Broncos' whole bottom of the pile destiny, because that's where they've been the last 4 years since Peyton Manning left. No, it's been 6 years. They've been bottom of the pile since Manning left. And I could honestly see them still being bottom of the pile.
Man, well, Vegas odds already, as soon as the trade went, they jumped up 12 spots for Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah, they went from 25-1 to 12-1.
Yeah, exactly. So, Vegas automatically bumping them up because of this trade. But I guess I'll say first, and then you can say, because you didn't actually pick. But I really think the Seahawks came out on top with this trade. They got so much. Now the Commanders were offering them 4 or 5 first-round picks to be able to get them. Yeah, 5, yeah. And I would have jumped on that in a heartbeat. Now, I don't know if they went to Russell Wilson and was like, hey, the Commanders want you. Are you cool with this? And he was like, nah, I don't want to go to the Commanders.
He did have a no-trade clause.
So, it could have been that. I don't know. And, when the trade first happened, it said pending on Russell Wilson's approval, which I think is hilarious that it said that. So, I think they're trying to pull like a Matthew Stafford and be like, hey, thanks for all that you did for us. We want to make sure you go to where you want to. But I think the Seahawks still came out on top with this. Now, it's going to be hard because they're in a really tough division. Like, who's going to be their quarterback now? They did get Drew Lock out of the trade as well. But we all know Drew Lock's not going to be their freaking quarterback. And if he is, it's only so that they can have a bad record and get a better quarterback in the future drafts with all these picks.
Dude, they have the number 9 pick this year. The number 9 pick. That was what the Broncos gave them. The number 9 pick this year. They have a chance at anybody.
Yeah, I mean, they could go for a quarterback. I mean, the quarterback class doesn't seem that bright this year, but yeah, they could go for a quarterback and start fresh and go forward. I think the Seahawks came out on top. I think the Broncos gave way too much for someone who, like you said, potentially is just going to keep them at the bottom. So, is it an upgrade for the Broncos? Yeah, 100%. Huge upgrade from Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. You're definitely getting an upgrade. So you're doing what you can because you bombed on the Aaron Rodgers thing. The Aaron Rodgers thing blew up in your face. So you're trying to make up for it. And this is what you're doing to try to make up for it. So if I had to pick a winner, I'd say Seahawks came out on top with it.
If I had to pick a winner, I think I would agree with you. Mostly, like, yeah, the Seahawks don't have a quarterback. They have Drew Lock and Geno Smith. That's who they have. Geno Smith is a free agent.
Yeah, and they're in
So
one of the toughest divisions in the NFL.
yeah, so they sent Russell Wilson from one of the toughest divisions to the other toughest division in the NFL. Like the NFC West and the AFC West are both really tough divisions because they both have strong defensive lines that get after the quarterback.
And they have good quarterbacks.
Yeah, they have good quarterbacks, but they also have really strong defensive lines that hit quarterbacks. Do you really think that him going over to the Broncos, like, yeah, it gets him away from Aaron Donald, but then he's got to deal with Chris Jones and Joey Bosa and Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue. Like, he's still gonna get hit a lot. like you went from a division that was tough to another division that was tough, and it's they're quarterback heavy, but they get hit a lot.
Yeah,
And I think it was a good play on the Broncos to go after him, but I think they overpaid. I think they
yeah,
definitely overpaid. I could have seen, just the picks go. Keep Drew Lock, keep Noah Fant, keep Shelby Harris. Shelby Harris is like the heart and center of your defense. And, Noah Fant is
a good tight end.
he's a damn good tight end. He sucks at blocking, but the dude is fast. The dude can catch passes. Like, he's no Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce or Darren Waller, but he's up there as one of the top. He's one of the top tight ends in the league for catching. Like, the dude is a monster, and it helps that short game when Tim Patrick or Cortland Sutton don't get open. And I don't know, man. I agree. I think they overpaid for Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
I could
definitely.
I understand the picks. The picks make sense. The 2 first, 2 second, and a fifth. 100% makes sense. But adding the other players into it, it makes it to where it was too much.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So we'll see if Vegas is right and the Broncos are able to change their future with this. And then also real quick, the Seahawks releasing Bobby Wagner as well, and someone's going to jump on top of that.
Yeah,
Like,
he's one of the best linebackers in the league.
yeah,
Like, even at 35 years old, the dude is still one of the best linebackers in the league.
yeah. The Seahawks are literally they have this giant ass red reset button, and they're just pressing it nonstop.
Yeah.
So they are literally just resetting to the max. So um, you know, the way that the season went this year, they're like, yep, we gotta go all in on starting over. So excuse me, so they're in rebuild mode, hardcore. Um, and then we were talking about the Washington newly Commanders trying to get Russell Wilson. They offered all those picks. So Carson Wentz traded from the Colts to the Commanders. Um, I'm trying to remember the deal, what they traded for to
It
get
wasn't a
him.
lot.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't a lot. I think it was like a couple second round picks or something like that.
Let me
I
see
don't
here.
remember.
They do it in exchange for a 2022 second rounder, a 2022 third rounder, and a 2023 third rounder.
So 1 second and 2/3.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the Colts, they kind of one and done with Wentz. They went all in with him because of the coach being the quarterback coach for him during their Super Bowl run with the Eagles, and he thought he could repeat history. And that experiment failed. They had to beat the Jags. They had to beat the Jaguars. That's all they had to do. Beat the lousy Jaguars, and you're into the playoffs. And he couldn't do anything. Like
Well,
he couldn't do anything to get him to win.
this
Huh?
didn't help. This didn't
Yeah.
help when he was
Yeah.
running from Aaron Donald and he just throws it backwards.
Yeah, yeah, and he had a lot of those this season, and so, and then apparently now the Colts were like bashing him, I guess, saying that they didn't like his leadership on the team, and they didn't feel that he like did enough, to like exude that and do that, and so as soon as they trade him, they start bashing him. So, um, Colts now, with the experiment failing and that not working, like where do they go from here? Like,
There's a rumor that they're trying to make a trade for Derek Carr.
all righty, fair enough. But
I don't,
again,
no, I don't think it'll happen.
it's like who would the Raiders then have? It's just like going going from there. So I mean, I just don't understand where the Colts are going to go from here. And if they do try to pick up one of these free agent quarterbacks, I still don't think it's going to work. You mentioned maybe Trubisky or, some of the free agents right now are like Jameis Winston or maybe like Jimmy G, who's on the trade block. Do you go after Jimmy G? Like, what's the Colts' best scenario with this? I mean, I don't see anybody else that would be better than Carson Wentz. Like Carson Wentz, he's not an awful quarterback. He's not terrible. Is he elite? At one point, he was. He was in the MVP conversation when he was with the Eagles. But after that injury, it's kind of gone to the wayside.
I'll give him one thing with the Colts. He actually played a full season.
Yeah,
It's the first time in his career that he has.
yeah, yeah, true.
So I'll give him props there. Um, no, I think the Colts may actually go after Mitch Trubisky, honestly. Trubisky's not the answer, but I think Trubisky's a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. I think Trubisky just had it rough with the Bears because they could never decide on if they actually wanted to play him or not. And they'd always bring in these other quarterbacks to say, hey, well, you're going to play against this guy. And, they'd put Trubisky in and he'd win. And then the next game they'd put in Nick Foles or it was Nick Foles, and then there was another quarterback that they had as well. But they'd put them in, and they'd lose, so they'd put Trubisky back in, and he'd win, and then they'd take him back out. Like Trubisky's actually a good quarterback. He just got the raw end of the deal with the Chicago Bears. He really did. Like they didn't have an offensive line for shit, and he had a shitty running back and Tariq Cohen that had more fumbles than any other running back in the game in the league. You know, his only weapon really was Allen Robinson. Nobody else stepped up. They got Jimmy Graham, and they're like, "Yay, we got a good tight end," and he didn't do shit. It's like Mitch Trubisky got a raw end of a deal, and I think if he went to a team like the Colts, he would shine because they actually have a great offensive line. They have a decent defense. They have a decent wide receiving core. It's not the best wide receiving core, but they have a decent wide receiving core. Is he going to lead them to a Super Bowl? No. But he could make them a winning team again.
Yeah, yeah. Could get him at least into the playoffs, maybe.
Yeah. He would have beat the Jags.
Yeah, that's true. He probably would have. So a lot of QBs on the carousel already, and things happening. Um, so the other two things, just to wrap things up real quick, the Ravens. Villanueva is retiring now after 7 seasons. So the Ravens losing a key player, and then they also are releasing their quarterback Tavon Young, who I feel is pretty decent as well. So Ravens losing some key players, and they have to decide if they want to stick with Lamar Jackson or not because he's coming at the end of his contract. So they have
And
to decide.
I'm going to throw some respect at Lamar Jackson because he said flat out, he's like, look, I don't want an extension right now. I want to focus on this season. I want to have all my focus on this season, not focused on contract talks, not trying to figure all that shit out. He's like, I've got one more season. I need to prove myself again. I need to prove that I'm the quarterback of the future for the Ravens before we sit and have contract discussions. He's like, let me play out my contract currently. And then after the end of the season, we can discuss a new
Yeah,
contract.
yeah,
Rather
yeah.
rather than just getting an extension, he's like, bring me players this year. He's like, you've got me on a cheap contract. I'm still on my rookie contract. Bring me on that contract. This is his final year. It's his fifth year option. And he said, bring me players so we can win.
Well, let's see if they actually go out and do something. There's a lot of free agents on the market. Go out and get an Amari Cooper, man. Could you
Right?
imagine if Amari Cooper was on that team? Like
Like
that would,
all they have is Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews. That's it. Bring
yeah,
in like another like scorcher, another like guaranteed receiver, like somebody that's going to get you 1,000 yards that is going to pull like double teams and stuff like that to open up the Hollywood Brown and the Mark Andrews a little more. So it's not Lamar's always going to go to those two because that's all he has.
yeah. Go to get an Amari Cooper or maybe a Jarvis Landry. Like some of these free agents that are out there. Go get them. Like
Yeah.
get them something to work with. Um, and then real quick, just to cover Rams talk while we're finishing up here. A lot of talks Von Miller, especially with the Russell Wilson talk that he's thinking about considering going back to the Broncos um, now that Russell Wilson got picked up by the Broncos. So Von Miller potentially could go back. He did say earlier today, I think it was, or yesterday, can't remember, that the Rams have first dibs. He said he was like, I will let the Rams, come with their offer, and if I like it, they get first dibs. But he said that he would consider going back to Denver. And as much as that would kill me, I mean, he didn't want to leave the Broncos. He probably wanted to retire a Bronco, like because that's where he started. It's where he won his first Super Bowl. But he changed our defense, man. Like he came up so big in the playoffs for us. Like I feel like we really need him to stay. And with him saying first dibs, I mean, do you feel maybe leaning one way or another? If you think he's going to stay, or maybe he'll go back to the Broncos.
I think the deciding factor isn't going to be the contract. I think the deciding factor is going to be if Aaron Donald comes back. If Aaron Donald comes back and they offer him like 2 years, 20 million, 10 million a year, he'll take it. If Aaron Donald doesn't come back, they could throw 30 million a year at him and he still won't take it.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron
He wants
Donald,
to
they
play
said
with
he's
Donald.
in talks of becoming like one of the highest paid defensive players in the NFL with a new contract.
He deserves it.
Yeah,
Like
I was gonna say it.
there is not a single team in the NFL, a single fan in the NFL that would not want Aaron Donald on their team.
Yeah, yeah.
Not a single one. If they say no, I wouldn't want Aaron Donald, they're stupid and they don't understand football. Aaron Donald is absolutely the most dominant defensive end, defensive tackle that the NFL has ever seen.
Yeah. Do you think
Like when
they'll
he
build a statue of him outside the stadium when he retires?
If he stays a Ram, yeah, absolutely.
Get him like a Ray Lewis style thing. Get
Absolutely. Name
him
another defensive tackle that can pick up an offensive line and throw them.
right.
Like
Yeah.
I think it's Quentin Jefferson? No. Quentin Nelson from the Colts.
Yeah.
When the Rams played the Colts, Quentin Nelson is the top offensive tackle in the league. Like he is recognized as the best offensive tackle in the entire league. And Aaron Donald picked him up and carried him back 10 yards, threw him, and then got to Carson Wentz. Like, Quentin Nelson weighs almost 400 pounds and he's 6'8". Like Aaron Donald's 6'1".
Yeah. Aaron Donald is unhuman, and yeah, if I know Von Miller said he wanted to stay if Aaron Donald stays, and it sounds like they're trying to pull an Aaron Rodgers and be like, here's all this money, please stay. So, and it's not like Aaron Donald, if he didn't stay, he would go to another team. It's just he would
He'd
retire.
retire. Yeah.
Yeah, he would just retire. But hopefully this they can do this contract. I'm just hoping this contract doesn't ruin other people staying, like an OBJ, or I don't know what the deal with Stafford is, when it comes to him staying. I don't know if he has a certain amount of years still that he has to be with us because of the trade. I don't know.
I think he has 1
Um,
or 2 years left on his contract.
Okay, so I just don't want it to screw up other people staying is all. So I'm hoping that Von Miller will stay if Aaron stays instead of going back to the Broncos just because of the Russell Wilson trade. So and then OBJ obviously is a big free agent that people are talking about as well. But I think everyone kind of agrees there's not many teams I think that are going to go for him only because of having another injury in the same leg and the same injury. So the
Yeah.
Rams are the best bet for him. So hopefully he realizes that and stays as well. Because I think if we're getting Robert Woods back, so Robert Woods, Cooper Cup, OBJ, like boom, like that's like I know I'm a little biased, but that's like the best wide receiver group in the NFL right there. Like, and
And
you
you
have
add in
Matthew Stafford throwing it to you.
and then you add Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee. Like that's scary. And then you have the dual-headed Cam Akers and Sony Michel in the back. Because do you keep Sony Michel or keep Daryl Henderson?
I would keep Sony.
Right? One of them has to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I would keep Sony for sure. All right, well, cool. Well, I think that wraps things up about for free agency so far. I'm sure there'll be more QB carouseling going on, especially since now the dominoes are starting to fall into place for some of the big names. But we still have like a Jimmy G out there that we got to figure out. The Colts got to figure out who they're gonna have. And of course, maybe some teams are just waiting for the draft. Who knows? So we'll kind of see how that plays out. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover before we wrap it up?
Yeah. So I did have one of my buddies who listens in and everything. He wanted me to mention Ja Morant and just the beast mode that he's become.
Yeah,
He had games in a row. February 26th against Chicago, he scored 46 on 28 shots. Against San Antonio, he scored 52 on 30 shots, and then against Boston, he scored 38. So that was 3 games in a row that he averaged roughly 40 points a game. And like with that, he's still kicking out assists. He still had like 7 assists in the games, had rebounds. Like he's been an absolute monster for Memphis, and he's been kind of the reason that Memphis is still in the running for playoffs. Like, so he just wanted me to bring that up. It was my buddy Scotty. He actually listens and everything. So just wanted to give that. It wasn't on Facebook or anything. It was actually in person. We were bowling last Thursday, and he brought it up, and he was like, "Hey, make sure you talk about Ja Morant." And I was like, "You actually listen to our podcast?" He's like, "Yeah, every week." I was like, "Hell yeah, thank you." So I want to give that shout out, Scotty Redmond. You're amazing. But
Awesome.
yeah, Ja
Dude,
Morant, man, he's a beast.
yeah, Grizzlies are kind of like the Bengals for this year in football. I said to watch out for the Bengals, and I was right. Yeah, watch out for the Grizzlies, man. Like,
That they have
man,
a strong team.
yeah, and I think the only reason why last year they weren't able to is because Morant got hurt like during the playoffs.
Yeah,
So yeah, if you don't have him, you're kind of SOL. But they're a scary team this year. So I think everyone kind of needs to watch out for them if they have to play them in the playoffs at all this year. So that's my scary team to watch out for. But cool, man. Thanks for that, Scotty. Right, man.
yeah.
That's awesome that he listens. We always appreciate that, and we will always help you guys out and shout out anything you guys want because we appreciate when you guys listen. So yeah, keep that up. So as always, we end the show with our famous, infamous hashtag Earl
Earl
Thomas
Thomas
still
still
not
not
signed.
signed.
um, you
And then
know,
Lamerica's the 30 for 30 Florida Gators.
Yep, 30
We
for
got to do
30
that.
Florida Gators. Yep. And then we'll have to get some type of basketball hashtag going on for this year.
Hashtag Ja Morant for MVP.
I don't know. I would be a little biased. I'd say DeRozan for MVP, but that's just me. He's had
Or
so many clutch last second shots to win the game for us this year. It's just unreal. Like,
or Donovan Mitchell, dude.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think those three should be the top for MVP this year, hands down.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So, as always, you can catch us on our Facebook page, Sports Harder Podcast. Check us out on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the major areas. YouTube, Sports Harder Podcast, and then we have the episode number for each of it to search for. If you like us and share us, then you'll get those notifications if you hit the notification button for every time a new episode pops up on YouTube. So as always, we appreciate it. We love you guys, and we will catch you guys next week, same time, same place.
Later.
Peace.